Hey you, I'm your nutrition coach. My name is Jackie Poole. Welcome to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Let's get today's episode started. So hello. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Jackie. I am your host. I am getting personal today because this is a conversation that needs to be had, and I'm just so disappointed, so incredibly shocked about what I talked to my doctor about this past Friday. So stay tuned. So it all started when I got my genetic testing results back, and the doctor wanted to talk to me, right? And I was diagnosed with Lynch syndrome based on my genetic disposition. I believe the genetic thing was MLH1 or something like that. That's actually the diagnosis. So basically your genetic testing comes back and you have that. And if you don't know, it's hereditary, right? The condition increases several types of cancer, particularly, colorectal cancer, endometrial, ovarian, skin cancer, like a whole bunch of cancers. And I know I'm predisposed, however you say that, because my dad had cancer when he was 28. So that is fairly young. And based on statistics, you kind of cut that in half. And technically, I was supposed to have cancer when I was like 14. And so the first thing that the doctor recommended, which I was shocked, was literally removing all my reproductive organs. Like, you have to get your uterus out when you're done having babies. You have to remove your fallopian tubes, your ovaries, your everything. And I have to get tests and yearly this and yearly that. And so I recently got my colonoscopy, right? And so that actually came back fabulous. I have a perfect colon. It was clean, a 9 out of 9 score is great. That was actually the worst part, was the prep. And so that was pretty awesome to do that and just got to see and experience it, especially with the history, right? But at the same time, this doctor, which I researched and was great, never once did she tell me the things that I'm about to share with you today. And so here's the thing. I've always been an advocate ever since I started this nutrition coaching and want to help people. I want to give you autonomy. I want to give you the power to be able to make your own choices and be able to make informed decisions about your own health. Not because a doctor says something, you're blindly going to go do it, because the interest and it's not for you. It's just something that they do on automatic, on repeat. Now, when they give you these percentages, just like anything else, they're basing it off the entire, American population. So out of the whole population, my chances of cancer, some of them, skin cancer was up to 20%, colorectal cancer was up to 40%, but this is based off the entire American population. I like to think of, I'm not a normal person. I'm not your average American. I definitely do things different. And so I know that my percentage numbers aren't really correct based on that information, because they're sticking me with the average population, right? And hence I've proven this because there's no signs of me cancer or anything like that. And I did have that ovarian cyst a few years ago, but that came back non-cancerous. It's just sometimes the body does do that, and we can go down the rabbit hole with that at another episode, but there was no signs of cancer with that either. And so today we're going to be talking about really breaking down everything, right? Because I refuse to dismantle my body and to think that this is preventive. To destroy my body is preventive. And she wanted to stick me on birth control and estrogen and do all of these things without signs that I needed that, without asking me, how's my diet, how's my sleep? These are supplements that can really lower inflammation. There is no talk about that. The only talk was, let's do surgery and get you on birth control and get you on hormones to prevent this. And that really saddened me. And it was first thing in the morning, guys. This call was at 8 a.m. And to hear that, any other person would have ran out and like, yes, let's do it, right? And I'm always very polite and nice, and I just agree and nod, because there's no point, in my eyes, in my opinion, to just kind of argue with her or tell her. Like, doctors don't have time for that anyway. So I listened, thank you, and moved on. And to hear that, it was very scary to hear her tell me this first thing in the morning, like, you have this and it was just one thing after another. Like, we really broke down the genetic code and testing and went through all the percentages and all the procedures she wanted me to do. And luckily, like, I still want to have kids, right? So she's like, as soon as you're done having kids, like, we need to get on this. And it was just, I felt defeated at that point. I felt really sad. I felt like, oh my gosh, like, to hear that, it put me in a state of mind with, like, I have no control. Like, wow, it saddened me. It made me anxious. It scared me to hear that, because it's a professional, it's a doctor telling me this. So I know what I know, but at the same time, that's what they do for a living. And it sounded very convincing, very, this is what we need to do now. But honestly, I want to fight. There's ways to fight this back without resorting into such drastic interventions, right? And so again, today we'll be breaking down what is Lynch syndrome and how it impacts the body, why alcohol is the third leading cause of cancer, high fructose corn syrup increases cancer risk, the benefits of 24-hour fast once a month for cellular repair, and some key supplements that should be included in our diet to support our health, and most importantly, how to decrease your risk without removing your organs. Okay, so let's start with what is Lynch syndrome, right? Lynch syndrome is a genetic condition that affects the body's ability to repair DNA damage, right? It's caused by mutations in the genes. They are supposed to, suppress tumors. Without these functioning properly, cancer cells can develop much more easily, right? And so this significantly increases the risk of colorectal cancer, endometrial, which is uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, stomach, liver, kidney, all these other types of cancer, right? And so that's why people with Lynch syndrome need to be proactive. That doesn't mean automatically removing organs as the first step. And, talking to my mom and going through the history of, like, my dad's family, my grandma had ovarian cancer. One of my aunts, I believe, had some other type of cancer. And my dad, half of his colon was practically removed. And, going back and telling my mom, like, this is what I just got diagnosed with. Well, my dad got diagnosed with that as well. And so this syndrome, yes, it's a syndrome. Yes, it's in your genes, but a lifestyle, healthier lifestyle is not just determined by your genes. There's so many other things that you can do to really help your body. And just because you are predisposed, however you say that, oh my God, I cannot say the word today, to this, doesn't mean you're automatically going to have this. There are so many things that we can do, which is, without taking the first step and just doing like automatically organ removal. And so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about alcohol today. I quit drinking alcohol last summer, and it wasn't even because of cancer, which I keep hearing it now that I've like quit and digged into a little bit more. But I quit just because it wasn't really doing anything productive for me. I would get super hungover with, even 2 drinks. Like my body was just not handling alcohol well. You don't burn fat when you're drinking. Like I just had more fun when I was in my 5 senses. It was just something that I decided to do personally, and it's definitely been a learning curve, but I enjoy not drinking and not worrying about drinking or anything like that. It just makes me feel good about the decision. And my husband still drinks. So this is something that I did for myself. And now being diagnosed with this, most people don't realize how directly linked alcohol is to cancer. It's actually the 3rd leading cause of cancer worldwide, behind tobacco and infections like HPV and hepatitis. And this is from the American Cancer Association, right? So in 2021, a study published in the Lancet Oncology found that alcohol was responsible for nearly, get this, 741,300 new cancer cases worldwide in 2020 alone. Okay, so this is not even like, again, the people that are diagnosed with this, right? This is a whole population. This is just like in general. And we hear about this, right? Like cancer is more prevalent these days. You don't have to be diagnosed with this specific syndrome, but if you have this, you're more prone to it, right? But nowadays, I feel like cancer is so common, like the flu, honestly. And so how does alcohol fuel cancer, right? It metabolizes into, let's see if I can say this because I did some research, acetaldehyde, which is a toxic compound that damages DNA and prevents repair. Okay, that's number 1, right? We know alcohol is a toxin, right? Our body, when we consume it, it stops trying to figure out and stops trying to burn fat, stops trying to build muscle, stops trying to repair. Like it is trying to get it out because it is a toxin. So it really doesn't help when we're putting this into our body. Our body just doesn't repair during the time that we're drinking. And it can take 24, 48, 72 hours for our body to even clear out of our system, depending on what we're drinking, how much we drank, how our body processes that. So it also increases estrogen levels, which is a major, again, risk factor for breast cancer and endometrial cancer. It promotes inflammation, which creates the perfect environment for cancer cells to grow. It definitely damages gut health. It weakens the ability to absorb nutrients and eliminate toxins, right? Our liver is working slower. Things are just happening that our body is not liking when we introduce this toxin into it. It stops really working the way it needs to work to try to flush this out of our system. So it is a good idea to maybe start reducing any alcohol habits if you are diagnosed with this syndrome. If you have Lynch syndrome or have a family history of cancer, reducing or eliminating alcohol is definitely one of the most important things that you can do to, again, lower your risk. Okay, so we are moving on to something else that I actually recently stumbled upon and wanted to add on here was the problem with high fructose corn syrup. It is more than just empty calories. It is more than me telling you to stop drinking sodas, let's stop doing processed foods, it's really, you can find it anywhere, right? They're in sodas, yogurts, salad dressings, even some protein bars, you name it. Anything that's processed, that's highly processed, right? That has to go through an extreme process, has like 40 ingredients. Even, strawberry spreads or jellies, those are added with high corn fructose syrup. You really have to do your due diligence and really look at the back of the labels and see if that is in the ingredient list. Is not just adding extra calories, right? There's a study in 2019 in the Science found that high fructose corn syrup directly fuels, get this, colorectal cancer growth by increasing fructose metabolism in cancer cells. So, and I will have the link to some of these studies, right? Other ways this increases cancer risk, drives, insulin resistance, which fuels cancer growth, promotes inflammation, which again, the more inflamed your body is, the more it doesn't repair, the more tumors are prone to developing. And again, we're going back to that gut microbiome balance, right? Making it easier for harmful bacteria to thrive. So common foods that are, high in fructose corn syrup could be sodas, energy drinks, even fruit juices. And again, these are a lot of these, are in kids' sweets and things that they enjoy that are targeted to younger population. Flavored yogurts, sweetened dairy products, packaged snacks, chips, cereals, which, I've made this statement before, we absolutely is one of the things that we do not buy in our house. Packaged cereals is highly processed. There's nothing beneficial about that besides the added vitamins, which could be maybe for, the younger ones. But if they're already doing like a multivitamin, they could get that from there, right? Processed breads, that's something that I also like very picky when I focus on like bagels and things like that. Those are some brands are very like so many ingredients, and some of those first ingredients are high corn fructose syrup. And so this also could be in ketchups, barbecue sauces. It's very hard to find really good sauces that don't have these. And so when we cut this out, you're cutting the processed sugars, you're reducing the inflammation, you're stabilizing sugar levels, and ultimately, again, you are reducing cancer risk. And so if you're like, okay, I don't want that, but I still want something sweet, I want something, more natural, then do what God and earth has for us, right? Purchase some honey, get yourself some maple syrup, even maybe some liquid stevia drops. Those are definitely a lot more better than consuming those from sodas and juices and packaged fruit, packaged meals, or wherever you're getting it from. It's very important to start looking at those food labels and checking out those first ingredients. Is that on the list? And so it's going to definitely make a huge impact. And so that's just another thing that you can look out for when you are trying to help your body and prevent cancers. Okay, so we talked about alcohol and high fructose corn syrup. which is probably not the funnest thing. But I want to move on to the power of doing 24-hour fast for DNA repair. This is probably even good for women to do it like on the first couple of weeks of your cycle from day 1 to 14. Just one day, maybe once a month, every other month. It's one of the most powerful tools that you can use to fight back. And I've actually talked about this before. I've been doing this for a while because I know the benefits of repairing an autophagy. And so doing a 24-hour fast is not about starving myself. It's about giving my body time to reset, to repair. Because when we're eating, it's stress on the body. When our body's processing, it's stress on the body. Like anything we do, whether it's feeding ourselves, exercising, we go through a lot of stress in our body, right? And so if we can help our body by just doing a 24-hour fast, again, even if it's just once a month, it's really going to help, right? So again, it triggers autophagy, which is a natural process that clears out damaged cells before they turn cancerous. And so it does reduce inflammation, which is key to preventing cancer growth. It improves insulin sensitivity, lowering the risk of metabolic disorders that, can fuel tumors, boost cell production, which support immune system, immune function. It repairs our tissue. And again, it's not about thinking, I'm just not going to eat. And it's not about that. I really think it's healing. And I've been doing this on and off for, I think, a year now. And I worked my way up to this. I didn't just say, I'm going to do a 24-hour fast. It started with 16 to 8. Then the next time that I did it was 20, then I did 22 hours, and then I've worked myself up to 24 hours. It wasn't just like, okay, one day I'm going to do it. I try to feed my body high protein, good foods, make sure I eat well before I do the fast. So when I'm going through the fast, I'm not feeling miserable, right? That is key. Like if you eat horribly, if you're eating bad junk food and you're like, okay, I'm just going to do a 24-hour fast for the healing process and the DNA repair process, like you're probably going to feel miserable after eating a whole bunch of bad food. So you want to make sure you've had really good meals, satiating fruits and vegetables and lots of fiber before going and doing this 24-hour fast. Of course, always consult with a doctor. I'm just letting you know what I do, what's worked for me, and how I feel, before and after and during the process of doing a 24-hour fast. And so even when doing the research of this Lynch syndrome and figuring out what I need to add into my regimens, which again, there are some supplements that really help beyond the fasting, right? And so that really help your body repair DNA and protect against cancer. And so it's funny because I've always done vitamin D. I've always done omegas. I make sure I eat at least fish once a week. If I don't have my omegas, make sure to incorporate those in my diet when I'm not taking those supplements, right? But when I first got my Fit peptides, I went through the whole ingredients, right? And what are they for and how do they help the body? And I wanted to add this on here because it really made me very happy, very, encouraged me. Like, I'm so glad I'm taking this because let me see if I can butcher this, right? Nicotinamide riboside, which is NR. Let's just go with NR, found in my Fit peptide. It helps boost NAD levels. What that means is this critical for DNA repair and cell energy production. Okay, there's studies that suggest that they can improve mitochondrial function and may help reduce cancer risk by enhancing cellular resilience. So guys, when I looked at this, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it. Let me pull it out on my phone. But when I looked at this, I know I made a podcast just talking about this specific supplement, right? It enhances DNA repair by helping damaged DNA. And again, is so important to have when we are diagnosed with Lynch syndrome, right? It reduces inflammation in the body. It really helps protect against metabolic dysfunction. And so I'm just so happy and glad that this is on there, because it makes me feel a little bit more safe, a little bit more secure, a little bit more assurance and insurance that I have in the back of my pocket, right? That I'm already, not drinking. I'm already focusing on not doing high corn fructose syrup. I'm already focusing on exercising and fasting and doing all the things. But to know that this is on there and there's proof, there's studies, there's evidence that this also helps support DNA repair, my gosh, this just gives me another line of like, I'm doing something for my body. This is good for my body. You have no idea when I talked to that doctor how sure she was that this is just predetermined. Like, we are trying to prevent this because you are going to get this, right? And not once did she mention any of the things that I'm talking about today. And so, not about nutrition, not about exercise, not about supplements, not about fasting, nothing, guys. Nothing but let's just butcher you and get those things out because they are damaged. They are messed up. And it was such a hard conversation, one, to keep my mouth shut and just to listen and be open. It was very terrifying to hear, you are going to get this. And so to know that I'm doing everything I can and leaving it up to God, whether, I don't know the future, but I know that I'm doing the right things. I know I'm taking care of my body, and all I can do is control the things that I have control over. And so the things that I'm suggesting today, the things that I'm, talking about today, the supplements, the fasting, the things that you can look for in the food that you eat, to consume, those things are really going to take you way, 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 way further than just wanting to, cut your body open and take those out. Now, I do want to say that on the Fit peptide, another thing that also came out was, we have chlorophyll as vitamin D3, which is also in the Fit peptide. And vitamin D isn't just for bone health. It really plays a role in immune function and cancer suppression. So research shows that people low in vitamin D levels are associated with increased risk of colorectal, breast, and ovarian cancers, which are the main ones from Lynch syndrome. So having this combo already is big. It's huge to have this and take this. I was taking my Fit peptides on the days that I worked out, but I think I'm going to start taking them on a regular basis based on this weekend's experience, and just talking to the doctor and just taking these supplements daily can really help support my DNA repair and lower, again, cancer risk naturally, right? The key word is naturally. I mean, these can be found in food as well, but if you're looking to just get that extra boost, extra oomph, the Fit peptide has definitely come in clutch and just given me a more, again, assurance and insurance of how I'm feeling right now, because it was definitely something that shocked me after I talked to this doctor. So if you're like me and want real solutions beyond the drastic surgeries, here's what we can do. Let's just recap, right? We're going to eliminate alcohol. We're going to figure out how to reduce high fructose corn syrup. Those are the two biggest cancer fuelers. You're going to incorporate 24-hour fast, maybe approved by a doctor if you need to consult with somebody. Those are just recommendations to activate autophagy and repair DNA. Take key supplements. You want to get muscle, you want to get lean, you want to stay strong, you want to enhance cellular repair, then I definitely recommend the Fit Peptides, and the link to make an account is down below. You want to prioritize anti-inflammatory foods. You want to get your fibers in, leafy greens, cruciferous, veggies, clean proteins. It's so funny, after I got my colonoscopy, they gave me a pamphlet of a flyer that had high fiber foods, and on that list was grains and cereals. Please avoid cereals. Okay, please. Another thing is staying active, right? Exercise, walk is all you need to do. If you don't want to strength train, if that's not your thing right now, just start by walking. Moving 8,000 steps a day, it makes a huge difference, especially in lowering insulin resistance, and it really enhances immune function when you take it outside, when you get your vitamin D from outside. Those are just kind of stacking, right? You're getting your vitamin D, you're walking, you're exercising. And lastly, which I don't talk about this enough, is managing stress. Right? Chronic stress really weakens the immune system, making it harder to fight abnormal cell growth. So if you want to manage stress, focus on what you can control and not on the what if, or what if this happens, or live in the worry mode, or live in the future, right? We want to focus on being present and what is something that I can tackle today, that I can physically do, that I can take control of today to not, take a toll on me, on the what ifs, on the not managing your stress, because it really does make a huge difference. And again, I'm not saying we should ignore medical advice. I'm sure my doctor has the best intentions for me, but I'm saying that we need options. We have options. And just because organ removal is standard protocol doesn't mean it's the only way. So if you've been diagnosed with Lynch syndrome or have a family history of cancer, you have more control than you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're going through something similar, I'm going to put my Instagram down below. You can DM me at Jackie_Pools, and let's just start a conversation. If you found this helpful, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Until next time, I want you to stay strong, informed, and take control of your own health.